Happy Monday, everybody. I am stoked about today's episode because we are jumping into honoring God through healthy habits with our body. Okay, so this is part two of the Abundant Living book. Absolutely love it. I'm so excited. Loving all of your thoughts on the book too. The fact that some of you are leaving reviews makes me so happy. If you are feeling like you want to bless me today, a review on the book would be the sweetest thing ever. No pressure, no pressure, but I will just say review on the book or the podcast, whatever you feel like reviewing would be just absolutely incredible. And I'm very grateful for you. But today we are talking all about the aspect of what makes us humans, which is our body. Okay. So this is our physical selves. This is what you can feel, the skin, the tendons, the teeth, all of that. And we're going to be diving into why taking care of our bodies is important, but also how we can do it and how it's a spiritual and practical commitment. Okay. So the verse that I love for this, it's found in 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. It says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You are bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Like it's an actual command that we should be honoring God with our bodies. So this is honestly not really something we should be looking at as optional as Christians. And I think sometimes we think our health is optional. We think taking care of ourselves is great if we can get to it, but truthfully, it's not that way. We have to be taking care of ourselves because if we don't care for our bodies will stop functioning. God may have a really, really cool thing planned for you when you're 75 or 80. Like that might be where you have a lot of purpose. And if you're not caring for your body, you're not guaranteed to make it to there. Not because of anything but yourself. Like you held yourself back. So yeah, it's honestly not that optional to take care of our bodies. And I think the reason why is because we have to understand our body as a temple. The biblical perspective of the body, of the human flesh, is as a temple. So there's a belief, it's called Gnosticism, and it's basically a belief that everything physical is evil. The body is evil because it's sinful, we're born into sin, all of that. And so it's not really around anymore, but like the extreme versions way back then, like they would punish the body and like put the body through torture and try to withstand it in the name of like sanctifying their souls because their bodies were so evil. So the bodies had to be punished. And how sad. How sad that we pit who God created us to be against different aspects of ourselves. Like we think that our mind and body can't work together and we're going to constantly fight. And as someone who has, been a survivor of eating disorders and several like implications with that, I relate to that idea so much where it's like a boxing match and we pit our mind, our soul against our body, and we think that they're on opposite sides trying to fight each other. And when you're hungry, your mind is saying you shouldn't be hungry because you have this expectation from culture to live up to, and your body is craving food, or maybe your body is craving movement, but you are sitting on a couch and just want to watch a show, or maybe you are sick and your mind is frustrated with your body because it's saying, I want to be able to do these things. I get that. I have been dealing with the past several months with recurring earaches, and I did not know that this would be such a nuisance in my life. But my ears have been in really, really a lot of pain lately and for months. And I've tried different treatments and there's all sorts of things going on behind the scenes with that. But I find myself getting really frustrated with my body of like, why are we dealing with this? Like, what are we doing? And that's such a small aspect of pain, of having chronic issues, of anything like that. So that can just continue to be maximized. Like there are times where it feels like our body is failing us, but that is not the case where it's failing us. It's like it's one. We have to unify the soul with the body. Like we are a creation of God, our body included. Okay? God formed us. So that means that our bodies are not inherently bad. They're not evil, but they can be a tool for really good or really bad. Okay? So that's really important to understand. Same with the importance of physical health in the Christian faith. There's lots of scripture that talks about this. But what I love is all the subtleness of it. You know what I mean? Like, you think all of these warriors throughout the Old Testament were in good physical shape? Like, of course they were. You know what I mean? Of course they were in good physical shape and they were taking care of themselves. And the same thing with other characters in the Bible. Like, I always, there's people who will be like, oh, I don't wear makeup because, like, this is the way God created me, which is like your conviction. I feel it. I hear it. I love it. But I will say, I think there's a beauty to putting in effort into who you are and what you look like and all of that. I mean, look at Esther. Like, she spent, oh gosh, it was like months of time like preparing herself and just like taking care of her body and feeling really, really good. And that goes across the board for a lot of different aspects, but it's important to care for your physical health. And neglecting your health doesn't just affect you, but it can affect how you can serve others and your spiritual life overall. So that's really kind of an overview of why it is so important to care for your body. And it's really not an optional thing that we can just decide not to do. Okay. So, with the book, there are a ton of tips on what that looks like. One of my favorite is when it talks about healthy eating. We go over like the 80-20 method. This is something that makes me so happy. I'm sure you guys have heard it, but just in case you haven't, the 80-20 method is when you spend 80% of the time in a regular routine with food, where you're consistently fueling your body with good whole foods. And then 20% of the time, you have a little more flexibility and you're allowed to enjoy more freedom with your food, especially when it comes to like community aspects. Like, food is a huge part of community, and you don't want to feel so limited that you can't enjoy people around you or mealtime or anything like that because of food. So the 80-20 method is chef's kiss. It's amazing. And I think overall, when you're trying to think about what it means to eat healthy, quote unquote, it's really, really smart to think about foods that God made versus man made. Okay, this advice was given to me a long time ago. I cannot remember who gave this advice, but when we think about what we're filling our bodies with, like, did God create that food, whether it is an animal with protein or fish or whatever, or something that is a little bit more natural, like fruits and veggies and all of that? Or are you eating a lot of processed food? Like, are you reaching for Cheez-Its or are you reaching for blueberries? You know what I mean? That kind of difference. And really stepping into like trying to eat more whole foods, okay? Because these wholesome foods are really good. We talk about that in Genesis 1:29 in the garden, just the foods and all of that. So that is a really practical tip when I am evaluating what I'm eating for the day. A big portion of what makes this successful too is planning out meals to the best of your ability. When I plan my meals out, it will 100% be more successful. I will be more successful with actually fueling my body with foods that are good for it. But we still have that balance and that freedom in that 20% to have fun and maybe go out for a coffee. You know what I mean? Drinking a lot of water today, especially in the name of healthy body. But I love a good cup of coffee with some cream in it. Like, it's just great. So that's really healthy. Okay, so I went to a liberal arts college, and one of my most embarrassing things is that one year I came home for Thanksgiving and announced to the Thanksgiving family table that I would no longer be praying before I eat, because I went on this huge rant about how it takes the prayers are so routine before we eat that it's not actually praying. And it was like this like very dramatic thing. And like my parents were like, okay, then don't pray with us. And like continued on to like pray over the Thanksgiving meal. It was very dramatic. I was in my liberal arts college girl phase. But something that is really been sweet is taking praying before your meal, just like really praying before your meal, not just saying a routine prayer because you feel guilty if you don't, or you just like kind of want to check the box, or because someone is with you and you feel like you should. when we are mindful with it, when we sit before God and we say, thank you for this meal, thank you for nourishing my body, there is something so sweet about that gentle, regular reminder that God provides for us. And it serves as this like gratitude moment continually throughout the day that just, it is really, really sweet when we're intentional with it. When we choose to be mindful with thanking God for our food, it is a blessing for us. Like it comes back and it helps us remember the goodness in it. So I've loved that. That's really helped me adjust like my thoughts around food and just like all of that. So that's a little bit about fueling. Now let's talk about how the movement side of it, okay? Because movement, exercise, it's a really important part of your spiritual journey. It is. I'm sorry. Oh, I know, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You have to be moving your body to glorify God. And that looks different for every single one of us. There are different ways that we move our body. There's different parts of our bodies that move or can't move, all of that. But when we honor the body that God has given us and steward it well in whatever method we can, it is incredible to see how sweet that time can turn into a worship session. Like it literally turns into worship. And it feels more empowering when you're taking time to move your body and like think about the fact that God created this body for this moment. God created your body to be cared for the muscles to tear and rebuild and to grow, and for your lungs to expand and contract, and for your heart to pump blood. It was created for that. And when we kind of reset and remind ourselves that, okay, wait, no, my body craves this movement. Even if it doesn't feel like it, it does, because that's what it was created to do. And as someone who was on a lot of medication in the past, that the main symptoms were exhaustion and fatigue, it was very hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel of like moving my body. And so those days, it was literally sitting on the floor and stretching. Yeah. I wouldn't even go outside and go on a walk. I couldn't go on a walk because I was so fatigued. So I would stretch my body. And when I chose to do those moments of just intentional movement, it really does help, one, with so many physical sides of so many things of like what your body actually needs, but also just your mindset around your thankfulness for your body. Whether you're fully capable, 100% health, or you're like barely clinging on, it is really, really good. And it makes you feel grateful for your health, your actual physical health. So that's all really huge. In the book, we talk a lot about all these other habits, including your environment, what it's like to build a space around you that creates really, really good just clarity, and why a clean environment around you can be so nice. And then we obviously talk a lot about the healthy routines side of things and just all of that. So overall, I don't want to dive too deep into it, especially as we get into sleep and hydration and all of that. That's all in the book. But this was just like to serve as a good reminder of why we have to focus on these healthy routines, why we have to find rhythms that genuinely work for stewarding our body, because it glorifies God. And we are called to glorify God in everything we do, including how we eat, including how we sleep, including how much water we drink, all of that. It points back to Jesus. So it's an act of worship, and it's really, really great. So I just want to encourage you, figure out a step you can take today, not tomorrow, not honestly, I would even try to do it as soon as possible. What is something you can do for your body today that can serve as an act of worship? Because it's really important. And I know that this is your desire, is to glorify God. And this is a step we get to take, and we get to take it together. So if you need anything at all, always DM me, let me know. And I hope you are loving the Abundant Living book. And I cannot wait to just see all of your healthy habits that come out of this, and the way that you're able to just shift your mindset into a place of worship rather than comparison or just feeling any sort of guilt around anything. You get to use your body to glorify God. And that's really, really cool.